you want to make some money in RuneScape 3 and you actually want to use combat as a money-making method, then this video is definitely the right one for you. Because today we are looking at maybe the best or one of the best money makers for mid to high level PVM, and we will actually test the method and see how much money you can really make with those methods. Before we start, there is one thing to say. When we talk about money making with combat, then I think it's kind of obvious that the best money makers in the game are sometimes or most of the times killing the high level bosses that exist in the game. I'm talking about something like Sanctum of Rebirth hard mode, killing Talos at 4k in rage, or killing Suck in hard mode, or Samurak at the high in rage, etc, etc. These are obviously the best money makers in the game, but they also require a pretty harsh skill requirement and are also really hard to kill, so they are not that easy and definitely not AFKable or semi-AFKable. So we are not focusing on bosses, and rather we are focusing on Slayer creatures. And so, if you are still here and interested in the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and now let's head into it. The method we talk about is something that exists a whole long in this game, and since this came out, it's definitely one of the better money makers that exists in RuneScape 3. We are talking about binding contract. And binding contracts is one of the best money makers and also one of the most consistent money makers because they are used at every level of combat. And especially in high level combat, you need those fucking familiars, so you have no other choice than buying them, so creating them will always have a market where you can sell them. And you maybe ask now, what the hell is actually creating binding contract? Binding contracts are these ancient summoner familiars that you can spawn in your boss fights that will have some incredible benefits when you use them. For example, you have the Blood Reaver that will always bring you some extra heal. You have the Gargoyle that you can use for mining, for example. The Abyssal Demon that is actually not that useful because it binds and teleports your target. I don't know where you can really use that, but it's also very cheap because no one uses it. We have the Water Fiend, which is also used in gathering skills to improve your gatherings. And then we have maybe the three most famous ones in the Hellhound that basically makes you 10% tankier, the Kal'gerion Demon that increases your crit chance, and the Ripper Demon that is just basically a DPS familiar. And these ancient familiars are way better than the old familiars that were existing before they came out. And since they came out, everyone uses them because they are so incredible OP. And in this video, we want to create them. So now it's the question, how do you actually create them to sell them? So first things first, before we can make the binding contracts, we actually have some requirements. And these requirements is to complete the Dagonbai, which is a mystery in the archaeology skill. And for that, you have to complete 3 different mysteries beforehand, which also have some requirements. Because first you need the qualification as an assistant. This is kind of easy to get in archaeology when you train the skill right. And since you also need level 68 in archaeology, I think when you reach it by training the skill, you will definitely have the qualification as assistant. Then you need to complete Eyes in Their Stars and Embrace the Chaos, which are pretty easy mysteries. They are actually kind of easy to do if you ask me. And after that, you have to complete Contract Clause, which has some harsher requirements because you need partially completion of the Land of the Goblin quests, which can be that you have to do some questing. I mean, these are definitely not high level quests. If you haven't done that yet, you have to do them. I think all of them take about 10 to 20 minutes if you do them with a guide, but they are definitely doable. And after that, you complete Contract Clause. And when you have completed Contract Clause and you have the qualification as assistant, you can then complete the mystery of Dagonbai. And when you've done that and you basically freed all the gargoyles and then this demon in his cage, he will give you the ability to create binding contract. And this is where the fun begins. Because when you have unlocked the method, actually doing it is kinda easy. Because all you have to do now is to find a obelisk where you can infuse pouches and create these binding contracts. You need for them some materials, which means that you need 2 Blood of Orcus, you need 2 Hellfire Metal, you need 200 shards, a blue charm, and also a pouch. And this all costs about 50k in the making. When you now create one of these binding contracts, this is basically all you had to do to receive the souls of the creatures that you're gonna slay now. And now it is depending on what kind of familiar you want to create on how much more requirements you have for this moneymaker, and if it is a high level or a mid-level PVM money making method. Because as I already mentioned, there exists a whole lot of creatures that you can kill now to receive their souls as a binding contract. And there is the actually high level ones, with, for example, the Ripper Demon that has a pretty harsh slay requirement because you need level 96 to kill them. Or also the Kal'gerion Demon that require level 90 in Dungeoneering to access them. But you also have some pretty low level mobs like the Hellhound that you can just kill in the Tavali Dungeon or in the Wilderness kinda for free. And I thought that we will test now how much money you can actually make with binding contracts by just doing them and creating some and stopping the time, and then see how much time it took to create the different binding contracts. So let's start with the first test of how long it takes to create 50 binding contracts at a summoning obelisk. By the way, the easiest way to create these binding contracts is not by just running back and forth from a bank and rather just go to the obelisk in Tavali, because here you have this nice guy that can trade you items and you can sell and buy items from him. And then you actually have the option to take your materials, so the Blood of Orcus and also the Hellfire material in a noted form right here, then you sell them to him. And afterwards you can buy them back for a little bit more expensive, and now you have them unnoted, and so you can press on the obelisk and then you can technically create some pouches. Obviously you need 2 of each material, so I have to do this twice, but obviously when you do more you sell like 50 and then buy back 50, and now I can create a binding contract. And since binding contracts always stack in your inventory, this is basically the easiest way to create them. Creating 50 pouches or 50 binding contracts actually took me 1 minute and 43 seconds, and it cost me about 2.5 million. And this is the value that we have to keep in mind while we are testing now creating 50 contracts at the different mobs that are really worth doing. So, the first we will try it out are the Hellhounds, because I think this is definitely the lowest level one. So we will go there, create 50 contracts and see how long this will actually take me. So, as you can see, creating 50 binding contracts at Hellhounds was actually pretty fast. It only took me 2 minutes and 39 seconds, and also it is kinda AFK-able. Obviously in these 2 minutes I wasn't AFK, but you could also do some longer stints there, for example staying there for an hour and then taking a lot more contracts with you, and then you can also be more AFK because Hellhounds are really not hitting that hard. If we price check all together, we should now made about 5 millions, but let's insta sell them to see for how much they actually go for. Okay, I reduced the price a lot here because I wanted to insta sell them. Just to be clear, you can make a lot more profit by slow selling them because this is an item everyone uses, or almost everyone uses at high level PVM. You can definitely take them or put them in a little bit longer and let them slow sell, then you will definitely make more money. But in our case, we made 3.969294 million coins. So we actually made a profit of 1.553 million coins in just a few minutes. To be exact, we made this in 262 seconds. So if we try to calculate for a full hour now, we can easily do that. By dividing our profit through the seconds that we use to make it, then we go to a full minute, and now we multiply it by 60 for a full hour, and we will get about 21 millions per hour just by killing the Hellhound. And let's be real here, if I slow sell them, this number would be way higher. And we are talking still about Hellhounds, which is a really easy mob to kill, and really the only requirement you have is to do the mystery Dagon buy, and after that you can just make over 20 millions an hour by creating those binding contracts. That's insane. And just to show you guys this one here, I insta sold my hellhounds for about 82, 81k each. But when you slow sell them, they actually go for about 95k at the moment in the Grand Exchange. And if you make the calculations with 95k, it would be about 30 millions per hour. Let's say you don't put them in for 95k because this is the highest price it gets sold at the moment. And let's say you take 92k, it's still about 30, 29, 28 millions per hour just with killing hellhounds. This is an absolutely insane value, even if we go with 20 mil per hour. Let's be honest. I mean, it's fucking hellhounds, you know? And just a little side note, to be clear, slow selling actually works because I am now currently editing the video that I recorded like a half an hour ago, and these offers that I put in for more money than we sold before, they actually both sold. So for example, with the hellhounds, instead of the 3.9 million, we could also actually made 4.7 million as long as we would have slow sold them. After the test at the hellhounds, we want to test this method at a, let's say, a little bit higher level combat one. And actually one that is definitely more worth per pouch than the hellhound. We actually have two options right here. One are the binding contracts of Ripper demons, and the other ones are the binding contracts of kal'gerion. Ripper demons are actually a whole different monster to kill, because I think there is an existing method with using magic, a dwarf cannon, and also legacy combat to really farm them correctly, which I think is a little bit too much for this guide right now. So I decided that we will test the kal'gerion demon ones, which we can kill normally with necromancy, for example. And if you want to see it, let me know in the comments. I will make a different guide, a solo guide for killing the Ripper demons, because as I know and as I looked up right now, this is definitely a whole different mechanic. Killing 50 of these kal'gerion demons was definitely way more stressful than the hellhounds, but we also made some huge GP thanks to all the common drops that just lie around at this encounter. So for example, you make a lot of money in alkables with the huge blunts, and you also make a lot of money with the fucking herbs and also with the primal stone spirits, for example. So all in all, we made 700k by just killing them without the binding contracts at all. And these items I actually will not sell because this takes a little bit too long now. So we take the value of these 769k for granted in this case. Because I mean, these are alkables, they all for a little bit higher and all that shenanigans. I think it's a good value right here. And I actually again reduced the price pretty harsh because I wanted to insta sell them, but we sold the 50 for 5.8 million coins. So we made a profit of about 4.15 million coins in this about 10 minutes. And after all the calculations, this means that we would make about 22 to 23 million coins also with creating binding contracts at the kal'gerion demons. So actually, it's pretty insane to me that the value or the money per hour-ish is about the same as at the hellhounds, but I think this is just because of the kal'gerion demons having 30k HP and the hellhounds only having 3k HP, so you obviously take a lot longer to kill them, but it's a little bit more entertaining. It's definitely more XP than the hellhounds, and yeah, it's definitely up to you what you prefer at this case. The crazy part actually is that if we make the same calculations with the kal'gerion demons and we took the price that they actually sell for if the slow selling ones at the moment, that you would make less money with killing kal'gerion demons than with killing the hellhound. So I think if we look at it like that, it's safe to say that creating binding contracts at hellhounds is worth a lot of money and is definitely an easy way to make money. Because as I mentioned, all you need is these requirements to unlock the binding contracts, and after that you can just start making a whole lot cash. So as I already mentioned, I think the only thing that you could do to increase your money per hour with binding contracts is to go for the method with the Ripper demons. But this is definitely something for a different video. So if you want to see the different video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you liked it, and now I see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day and bye!